Do we really need to have that same negativity bias today? Probably not, because our environments are not nearly as gruesome, brutal as the environments that we evolved in, but our culture has evolved so much more rapidly than our brains have. So we're stuck with some of these, we could call them burdens of our ancestors that totally shape the way we view the world, the way we're super attuned to threats, the way seeing what other people are doing on social media, for example, can activate that social protection instinct the same way that being ostracized from our small tribe of other human ancestors does. And those are totally different degrees of social ostracism, but they feel the same in our bodies because of that negativity bias. So that negativity bias is reinforced over and over and over again among physicians, because what we learn to ask our patients is, what's wrong with you? How wrong is it? How long have things been wrong? What makes it worse? Has anyone been to the doctor with a specific complaint and we just zoom in and we analyze, okay, when did it start? What's the quality of your pain on a scale of 0 to 10? How painful is it? We become masters of understanding dysfunction. How many times has your doctor asked you, what's going well recently? Tell me about the positive relationships in your life. When we are nervous and we get into that fight or flight state, that hormone surge of adrenaline through the body mediated by the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis, that counteracts the calming sensations of the ventral vagus nerve. So a lot of fancy terms, but that is to say, when we get into fight or flight mode, what happens, and this is an evolutionarily protective mechanism, is that we get primed to run away from threat, right? So that mechanism evolved to kick in when we see the saber-toothed tiger, to kick in when we see the herd of rhinos running next to us and we needed to get out of their way. So all of the blood in our body shunts to the big muscles in our legs, our heart, our lungs. You don't need to be digesting anything when you are running away from danger or before you start to take that test that is making you think that you are in danger, just like our ancestors were on the savannah. So what your body does, you want to be as light as possible to run away. You get everything out of your digestive tract. The butterflies come, and you may have to go run to the bathroom and excuse yourself before the test starts, because your body's literally, preparing you to be light to run away. So that may answer what's going on in pre-test physical anxiety. And then you can't really think because your prefrontal cortex, your thinking brain, shuts down at the expense of your amygdala, which is engaged when you're emotionally activated. So when we encounter stresses in our environment, we literally are primed to run away. And then things like social interaction, taking some deep breaths to stimulate the diaphragm, which stimulates the vagus nerve, which can calm us down, can counteract that, turn our brains back on, get blood flowing to our guts again, and then we can focus for that test. Most of us don't think about it. We don't understand it. It can go awry with many diseases and also just normal physiology, like taking a test. But most doctors won't ever talk to you about it because this is not stuff we learn in medical school. So enter positive psychology. You've learned what this is, the science of well-being and human flourishing, living well. You are here, so we can skip that. So have you done the Tale of Two Capes thought experiment? Okay, so this is one of my favorites. It comes from James Pawelski, who's the program director of the MAPP program. And he says, if you could you kick over a genie in a bottle and a genie comes out. And he says, I will grant you the ability to be a superhero, but you have to make a choice. You can be a red cape superhero or a green cape superhero. As a red cape superhero, you will have the power to get rid of all the badness in the world. You can get rid of famine, you can get rid of war, you can get rid of all of the bad stuff. Terrorism, you name it. COVID, okay. Or you can be a green cape superhero. And by being a green cape superhero, you can add all of the goodness that you can think of into the world. So human collaboration. What we do in healthcare and what we do in traditional psychology is we're red cape. We're focusing on your depression, your anxiety, your hypertension, and we're aiming to get rid of it. Whereas what we need are more green cape approaches, focusing on how we can build more goodness. And what's so interesting is that if we think about adding good, it can actually sometimes obviate the need to actually focus on removing the bad stuff. And the inverse does not apply. I can explain. If a child is hysterically crying in my office, I could focus on getting them to stop crying and say, don't cry. That's not going to work. I can make funny faces and add goodness, tell jokes, make them laugh, give them a little tickle. I could do the green cape stuff and they automatically stop crying. So of course, a total false binary. What we really need is a reversible cape that we can use and use practical wisdom as to when it's really a moment to focus on getting rid of bad stuff. There are basic fundamental issues, such as a lack of housing, that if we don't solve this, we are not going to be able to help you be healthy. And there are times where things are going really well. And if we don't focus on building those things, we can let disease and dysfunction creep in. So what we need really, the third answer is we need a reversible cape and some wisdom as to when to apply it accordingly.